Video review.
The original Forza Motorsport for the Xbox is one of the first driving games to really toe the line between being accessible to newcomers and really appealing to the hardcore driving audience at the same time without just kind of failing at both. Apart from just having an exceptional driving model, it also included tons of different licensed cars, licensed tracks, and a whole host of different modes that were really revolutionary for its time on the Xbox. Now the Forza series has come to the Xbox 360 and Forza Motorsport 2, and it is pretty much, in essence, what you would want from a sequel to Forza Motorsport. It's got more cars, more tracks, more modes, more varieties of ways to play, and the driving model has been tweaked and adjusted to near perfection. Most of what's new in Forza Motorsport 2 in terms of content is just new cars, new tracks, a few new mode upgrades, and a few adjustments to the online modes. The driving model is very much the same as it was in the last game, though there have been some little tweaks and adjustments made to make it even better. All the same sort of driving assists that were found in the previous game are still here. You've got traction control, you got analog braking and that sort of thing. And the driving line is back, though it's also been adjusted so it's not just that one big long driving assist line that, you know, shows you when to accelerate, when to decelerate and everything. There's a version of it now that just shows you when to brake, which is actually a much better option because you don't have to rely on it as much as a crutch. Physics have been improved in certain areas. You definitely feel the difference between all the different types of cars, and there are lots of different types of cars in the game. There's damage modeling, collisions, you know, everything feels pretty much right as you're driving around the track. At the same time, the game isn't necessarily that difficult to drive if you've never played a game like this before. Because of all the assists and because of all the little tweaks and things you can do to adjust the way the car handles from the outset, you can pretty much tailor this game to your difficulty level. You can turn off all the different driving assists and drive au naturel, so to speak, and doing so makes the game very, very difficult. The opponent AI in the game is also some of the most realistic you'll find in any driving game out there. For the most part, the drivers drive very professionally. You know, if you're not banging into them left and right, they'll drive, you know, pretty much the same way. They won't bang into you. They'll concede corners when you're trying to take turns, that sort of thing. But at the same time, if you're driving very aggressively, if you're trying to intimidate guys by banging into them or even knocking them off the track, some might just get intimidated and stay back, whereas others will just start coming after you and banging into you left and right. Perhaps the best thing you can say about the AI is that you don't really think about it very much. They just kind of drive the way you would expect other drivers to drive, and, you know, they react accordingly. There's a few different ways to play Forza Motorsport. There's some basic exhibition and time trial races, there's online modes, and then there's the career mode, which is where the real meat of the offline game is. Once you jump into career mode, all you have to do is pick a region, which sort of becomes your home region and gives you some discounts on cars from that region. You buy a car, and then you're in. There's a few races unlocked to you, you start at level 1, and you just start racing until you earn more cash to buy more cars, buy some part upgrades to boost your cars, and, you know, just progress as you would. And as you level up, you earn some discounts with various manufacturers, some part manufacturers, and you just keep going until you've basically bought all the cars that are in the game. The cool thing about the career mode is that it gives you a variety of different race types. Even though there's a limited number of tracks in the game, there's only 12 racing environments. You never really feel like you're doomed to repetition just because it gives you all these different ways to take on the tracks. You can do everything from like a Class D race where you're just, you know, doing stock manufacturer models to races with certain limits on horsepower, different specific models of cars, specific regions, that sort of thing. You can also take on career races online, which are, you know, they're basically ranked Xbox Live matches, but they earn you cash towards your career. Apart from that, you can also jump into some online tournaments, which are hosted by Microsoft and are generally specified based on car class and that sort of thing. And then you can also jump into the auction house and sell cars that you've made and customized yourself. The customization element of the game is huge. There's this whole layering system where you can just use in-game shapes and decals and manufacturer logos and whatever to build these just really insanely elaborate designs that most people are probably never going to be able to make because they just won't have the patience for it. But if you do, you can create the most amazing decals on the cars, and you can probably sell them for a real nice profit on the auction house because that's what people are buying. You can also upgrade cars with parts and, you know, make them much faster, give them better handling, better braking, you know, give them better fat wings on the back and, you know, standard racing bumpers and whatnot. All this sort of plays into the car's individual performance index, which is sort of a new feature. The game uses the same lettered class system as the previous Forza, but this one also includes a number rating for within that class. As that number goes up, it'll start, your car will start jumping classes, become better and better, and you can sort of use the performance index number to kind of judge how your car is going to go in against other cars in various races. In terms of presentation, Forza 2 is a real delight to look at. The game has excellent graphics. Not so much in the track areas, which sometimes look a little sparse. Some of the textures are kind of, a little bit blurry, a little bit nasty, but the car models are absolutely immaculate. Beautifully designed, look exactly like they would with the real-life counterparts, and the game runs at a really smooth 60 frames a second. Never seems to dip, never really, chunks up at any point, and that seems to be the real focus with the game's look, is that it's emphasizing the sense of speed over, really a lot of, elaborate, pretty visuals and whatnot. Still, you get some nice lighting effects, great shadows, and as much as the tracks don't necessarily look that great up close, if you're looking at some of the track details up close, you're doing something wrong. So in the end, Forza 2 really is just Forza done bigger and better. It takes everything that was great about the first Forza game, just adds a whole bunch more content to it, adjusts some of the things that maybe weren't quite as great, and really just turns in a really amazing driving game overall. At this point, Forza 2 easily takes the crown as the Xbox 360's best driving game, just because it's such an absolute joy to play no matter what the difficulty settings are, and with so much content to play around with, you're guaranteed to be playing this thing for months on end.